The Castigian occupation of Tarentus, the city of thieves, is merely the opening act in the rapidly spiraling conflict between law and chaos on this world, this doomed Alissar. But what in these dying times? What about balance? Balance has been uprooted as allegiances solidify and the world demands one pick a side, where those that don't pick a side and refuse are set to be cast out, congregating into a traveling tribe by choice, a caravan meandering from city to city, observing, chronicling, never interfering, and soon to be cast out again. The view of these roaming chroniclers is sharp, and they have eyes and ears even in places where they currently themselves are not. And one such left behind observer marks an event taking place now in the harbor of Tarentus, with one warehouse roof bright ablaze in flames and a commotion about to erupt on one of the ships moored in the harbor. Hello friends, Anderson here. This is Oksana, Thief, Gladiator, Queen, the next installment in our series. And still we are in our flashback sequence, and now we are once again in trouble because we have been discovered or are about to be discovered by a quadriga of Castigian soldiers sent to investigate the ship of Merchant League Captain Pictish-born Keinrick, who has no great sympathy for the Castigian theocracy that decades ago took him from his tribe, but may now find himself at an inconvenient disadvantage for those lacking loyalties, as he has stowed away some illicit passengers in the hold of the merchant ship who are about to be found. So let's get right into it. We have Oksana and Genaha cowering, presumably realizing through the footfalls and the discussion in Tyrrhenian, which they can muffledly hear through the planks that they are currently stuck behind. And they're making ready for a pounce out in the event that their location is discovered. So tensing, they grab their respective weaponry, Genaha with her remaining dagger, Oksana switching to her blunt maul. And I think to check for their respective reaction times, we'll do another wisdom check for each of them, which is not particularly fair considering they're most unwise, but that's the order of business. So we roll our two color-coded die 20s, blue for Oksana, red for Genaha. And we gotta get under a 10 and a 9 respectively. And we do. So they have ample time to make ready. I might even have given them, well, not really advantage for this because their soldiers sort of expect something to happen. But maybe they don't expect it to happen that quickly, as one of them pushes away a basket and with a cry of alarm notices that the concealed hatch that has been designed to look like all the other floor planks in this cargo hold hasn't closed quite snugly, and there is like a little gap in there that stands out to the eye that is now looking for concealed cargo. And with that cry, Genaha pushes open the hatch and pounces forward just as Oksana does the same in the same instant. And now we'll see who's in for it. So we have two actions. We have two combat actions, I should say, where if we do the same action, such as attack with a dagger twice, we have to roll our doom die. I think it's actually less specific than that. So if we attack with our dagger and our fist, it's still an attack. So we still roll our doom die. I think that's what Genaha does, though. She leaps past the soldier opening the hatch, slashing with the dagger and bringing a hammer fist down into the open-faced helmet protected center of mass of the soldier standing behind them. I guess we have a little wiggle room here. I think the uniformity of these is some have like helmets with the face carved on, some of these open-faced helmets. They all have a similar design. They all are kind of gleamy and shiny, but there is some variety in the uniformity. So let's determine the success of our first slash. Rolling under strength, rolling a 3. That is successful. We'll account for the armor by providing 1 hit point more, and we will assume that there are 5 hit points. So with her die 8, that would require a pretty decent roll to get rid of this first soldier instantly. 7, we get rid of the first soldier instantly as the blade bites deep, and with a final gargle, the soldier topples backward and the fist comes down into the next opponent's face. We roll under strength again, hopefully. We roll a 4, okay. And we roll a 5. So that blow is definitely felt. The fist comes down, the head snaps back, and a cut immediately opens, but besides stumbling backwards and reeling, there is still some fight left in this one. Now let's figure out what Oksana does. We do have our spells and we have our maul. I think that is pretty good. We have forgotten the doom die. I should roll this for Genaha. A 3, no degradation. So as I was saying, Oksana, a spell and an attack. For the spell, I think we're gonna call the it right in the soldier's face. So with a flourishing gesture, we make a invisible creature appear that wraps itself around the soldier's neck and strangles for 2 die 6 damage. Hopefully, if we manage our casting roll. Under intelligence, do we? 7? Yes, we do. 2 die 6 damage. 10, okay. So that almost makes the head pop off and another figure crumples. And we bring down the maul. We roll the maul with strength, actually, because we don't use a one-handed bladed weapon. So need to get under 11. We roll a 12. That gives me the opportunity to call on Doom. But do I want to? What I'm thinking is I could degrade the Doom die to a die 4 automatically, roll a die 6 and subtract this from the result, which would make it quite likely that the attack hits. But actually, is it a problem if the attack misses? Well, it depends on what the others are doing. I feel like it's a bit up in the air what Heinrich and maybe presumably 1 or 2 members of his crew that are with the search party here are doing. I'm expecting that Heinrich has an intent here. The question is the intent to let the illicit cargo be discovered, in which case they'd all be arrested, so presumably not. I think probably the intention here was to try and deal with the soldiers somehow, so maybe there is another attack coming from behind. Probably not gonna be enough to get rid of 2 though, so let's degrade the Doom die for now. And roll a die 6. 4, okay, that makes the attack hit. And now we need to do some damage. We actually need to do 6 damage to get rid of the soldier instantly, otherwise we'll just put the hurt on and hope that the attack by the crew is enough to finish them off. But we get lucky dice. We have a 6, which crushes the skull under the helmet. Now the question is, well, the question first is, will Heinrich intervene? That is likely, so probably. So we take the highest of the 2 results. That's a hell yes. So are they gonna do it fast enough though? Initiative is wisdom. Is Heinrich very wise? Let's assume sort of an average score, 10 or 11. Let's do a coin flip. So if we roll 10 or below, then they're quick enough. And we roll an 8, so they're quick enough. I think we can narratively decide that the reeling soldier that got Genaha's fist in their face stumbles back, makes ready to attack Genaha, and instead finds a knife plunged into their throat from behind as the captain steps in and makes an end of it, yanks the dagger out with a disgusted grimace. Well, that could have gone better. It could have gone a lot worse too. And the captain can't really fault Genaha at that, as the other 3 illicit passengers pop their heads out and have these horrified, wide-eyed expressions on their faces at the carnage. And the captain loses no time, turns around and starts shouting at the crew to make ready to break port. And that's, I think, the chance they have now is to slip away and try and outrun any eventual pursuers here, because we assume that they're definitely not cleared to just leave. But I think as soon as they start doing so, if they're quick about it, it'll take some time before a pursuit can practically happen. Now, there are some rules here for travel of ships and the sea. They don't exactly account for the scenario we have here, but they do give us an idea on the readiness state of the crew, where we roll a die 6 plus 7, and that determines some of our rolls here. So let's see how ready the crew is. That's a 12, that is quite ready. And since we aren't captaining the ship and we're kind of passengers along for the ride, I feel like we should be rolling Heinrich's check here against this 12. And since we are being very hectic about this and not maybe starting off with the preparedness necessary, we'll do it with a disadvantage and see how the roll pans out. Well, it pans out a critical failure. So, well, that in the parlance of this rule set means we are facing a peril of the sea. I'm not sure all of these fit very well, but let's just roll to give ourselves a kind of an oracle prompt here. Roll a die 6. That is a 6. That is a shipwreck. So something goes very awry. Let's think about this for a second. The additional outcome here is characters awake on an island. Now, I don't think that is quite appropriate. I think we'll ignore the island part and just focus on the shipwreck part, which strikes pretty much out of nowhere. The initial start of the journey goes rather smoothly. The crew pulls up the plank that had previously been guarded by the 2 soldiers, now sunk below the waves, and they manage to push off the ship from the pier with long poles with almost minimum sound, the lapping of the water blending in with the overall somewhat restless sea in this harbor basin. So the 2 soldiers further up that guard the next ship in the line don't immediately raise the alarm, and only do so after the ship has already made a half turn and the sail unfurls with a very loud fluttering sound that can no longer be attributed to anything else but a sail unfurling explosively. It takes the wind. It describes a semicircle in the harbor basin as a long drawn-out alarm sound from one of the guarding soldiers rings out. Immediate activity bursts through, ripples through the harbor. A bell is rung with a loud ding 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 ding, but from where Heinrich is standing by the steering wheel surveying the situation, they'll all be too late. He'll have circled the harbor and made it out of the narrow that touches the harbor wall before anyone can pursue. Anyone, that is, except for the weighty metal frame of the twice the size of a person Grim Angel statue that seemingly from out of nowhere descends from the harbor wall as the ship clears it and crashes through the top deck, through the middle deck, through the bottom one, and out all the way through the ship like a projectile from a catapult, creating an eruption of water in the center of the vessel that immediately takes water. And in that instance, Heinrich understands that the ship will be lost. Now, we assume that the illicit passengers are no longer confined to the hiding spot below, because that would be a bit pointless. now that everything's been discovered anyway, so I don't think there's a risk of them instantly drowning there. But everyone is now rushing up from below and out on deck to see what is going on and what the situation is, and they find themselves significantly less maneuverable and the ship already lilting to one side and bearing down, its tip already getting close to the water. Now, do they have any kind of auxiliary vessels? Are there a couple of boats somewhere on this ship? As likely as not, I would say. It's kind of likely, but maybe there isn't one, so let's just roll a die 6. Yes, they do have a boat that seats not everybody, but I think with the general read that we've gotten from Kynric so far, the crew is yanking it from its resting place, turning it the right way up and lowering it into the water for the passengers to get in, and maybe a sailor or two to do the actual rowing. Now, what's the reaction from the port authority here? Are there already ships coming towards the marooned vessel? I'm assuming that the statue is basically in for a long walk at the harbor basin to get out somewhere. I think that was a very intentional move, just to sink the ship with maximum amount of impact, knowing full well that the automaton would end up in the bottom of the sea. Let's determine the response here. So first of all, is a vessel already pulling towards us? Because that could not only be a bad thing, that could also be a chance. Yes, there is a vessel already coming towards the stranded merchant ship. Is there another automaton? Is this maybe a matter of symmetry, where one was standing on one side of this harbor opening and one on the other, and we have another dive bomber coming? No. Okay. So they had one automaton standing guard there and nothing further. So we have this brief scene where Kynric tells Oksana and Genaha, "Get to the boat." And Oksana stares at the small vessel now coming towards them and remarks, "Oh, we'll get to the boat all right, but I think we'll take the bigger one." To which Genaha just gives a determined nod. And the captain stares at them a little bit caught aback and looks at the approaching vessel. Are there other vessels coming up behind that will be there like a turn or two after? We should determine how much time we have to maybe finagle this into a capture here. I think it's likely that there are other vessels taking off fairly immediately after. 33 negative, but and also rolling double, so it is kind of an amplified but. I guess what we could do is we have some more time than we thought. We have maybe 1 round plus die 6 rounds to get a bit of combat and maybe take over that other boat. But after that, there is another handful of those automatons running up from either side of the harbor wall, about to plunge down, and then we're pretty much screwed. So how much time do we have? We have 3 combat rounds in total. How many enemies are we facing? Should we go with die 10 maybe? 7. Okay. I think we can sort of follow the analogy of a boarding action here, like a character-centric one, where our character actions contribute kind of half the success of the action, and then we do a crew roll to see how it goes in general and decide based upon that. Maybe we can deplete from the 7 depending on how our crew rolls, and we also go and try and kill a few of those. I think our first order of business though is that we're gonna have to kind of take one, because I assume that as soon as the other vessel pulls up, they will unleash a volley upon the deck of the marooned merchant ship. So we'll have to dodge for Oksana and Genaha. We'll follow the color coding again and roll under dexterity. Very successfully. And now we'll do a crew roll to see if the crew takes some damage. We roll over, so yes, the crew depletes and we go down to crew roll 11 from 12. So we'll get one of the sailors under Kynric ducking for cover, but a stray projectile from the volley finds its way into their head, and that is one on our side lost. And now there is a tremendous thump and shudder and a splintering of wood as the theocracy vessel smashes into the side of the merchant ship. And we roll initiative, I think. So we roll again for Oksana and Genaha. Oksana has a critical success. Genaha goes after, so she fails. And the crew succeeds. Okay, so let's have Oksana act first. I think we're gonna go for the spellcasting route again. This time, I think we'll do War Drums because that has a chance to berserk one of the enemies, which would be convenient if they're still on their side with their own allies around them. Let's do a casting check. That's a 3, that's another success. So what is the outcome? Is it one of them afraid or going berserk? And that's the 33% chance I was hoping for. 5 and 6 is berserk. So we have one of the crew now raging, lashing out and attacking the group of soldiers about to leap across onto the other side. Let's give a crew rating to the other ship as well. That is a 12 again, so that one soldier rolls under 12 to do some damage. Rolls a 7. I think we can use that to deplete the other crew rating by 1, as they don't expect an attack from their own ranks. And with a scream of rage, the soldier, the pikeman that is now berserking, takes a swing and impales one of their comrades from behind, yanking up the pole arm with a flailing body now in the air. And the other soldiers whose intent it was to leap over and board, some of them are now distracted by this as others are coming across. So the group is momentarily split, which can also work to our advantage. And I think Oksana's second move is to have her shiv ready, anticipating the landing of one of the attackers, trying to dodge around and find a weak spot. So we'll roll under dexterity with our sword mastery. Swing and a miss. Okay, so we don't find the weak spot, the blow glances off harmlessly, and we find ourselves face to face with an opponent. Now the first clash, the crew of the merchant ship expects the attack, is ready for it, and they receive the enemy with a flurry of blows. We roll a 10, that is under 11, our current strength. So we'll do another point of crew damage here, I feel. So we've killed one, another one is berserk, now we killed another one. That makes it down to like 4 active attackers. That is still probably a kind of an even matchup here, because we also lost a few of the sailors from the merchant ship to bring the support vessel down. I think they're currently still busy with that on the other side of the now sinking merchant ship, and also kind of sticking around to await the outcome of this fight, because I think they've clocked what the crew is trying to do here, trying to get them another ship. Now Genaha cannot act yet, but we have to dodge. I think both Oksana and Genaha get attacked, and I think that's logical. Oksana has an opponent, Genaha is very likely jumping into the thick of it. So we do dodge, and we take some damage. Oksana gets hit, and the damage die, I think, for the attackers is a die 6. And it's a duel of the glancing blows, because we have 1 point of armor, so that one gets negated. So it's like we're not being harmed by this, we just take a swing into the brigandine that Oksana is wearing, and with an oof, the air gets pressed from her lungs, but she rolls with it and makes ready for the next combat round. Let's resolve the crew side of things. Let's dodge for our crew here. And they take another point of damage, so we're down to 10 here. It's even. Now I think the strength is about even, but now Genaha gets to attack. And Genaha, being her charming self, tries to kick one of them into the water. That's a shove action. We'll roll a doom die to accompany it. 3 on the attack and 6 on the doom die, so no depletion. The attack succeeds. The soldier gets kicked overboard and with their armor dragged down under the sea, putting it down to 9 crew strength, and things are looking fairly good for us. I think Gnaha with her next action just takes a move and jumps across to the other side because there are some soldiers there still. One entangled with the berserker. Let's do a strength roll. And roll a 2. Okay, Gnaha with a spirited leap lands on the other side and is already in fight mode again. That's 1 round done. We have another 2 before the now approaching automatons come jumping down on us, and I think we need to make it across to the other ship now. I think the couple of folks in the rowboat understand what the hour has struck, and they are rowing like maniacs towards to round the maroon vessel and to get to the other side, to get to this theocracy vessel, because they see that, hey, there's a chance here, we could still escape here. So I think Oksana strikes once more. We'll see how that goes. That's a critical hit. Okay, I think that's just a kill. The ship finds a gap, twists the knife, rips it out again, and the figure crumples to the side with a fountain of blood exploding away from the body. And we'll do a strength check to jump over. That's a success. Okay, so Oksana also makes it to the other side. Let's get a general idea on what's going on with the crew here. An 8, okay, so successful again. I think we have the enemy lose another one. The remaining one on the side of the sinking merchant vessel now is quickly dispatched, and the crew members, including Heinrich, they jump across to the theocracy vessel. 3 of them, including a captain, already peeling off to get the vessel under control and get a move on as they see the running, well, more like lumbering automaton forms up on the wall, coming closer and understanding their intent is to just bombard everything here. I think we get to do another dodge. I think Gnaha should be dodging successfully. And we'll do another crew roll dodge as well. And we take another casualty. Maybe that's one of the people that is in the boat, one of the 2 sailors that are rowing the boat with the 3 other passengers in, slumping forward and taking an arrow shot from the shore, like a lucky shot by one of the soldiers now approaching, already making ready in their vessel, and for all intents and purposes arriving too late before whatever the automatons do is happening. And now Gnaha gets to do her thing. They're rolling an awful lot of 2s. So with a horrendous crack, she delivers an accurate throat punch for 4 points of damage, followed by a slash with the dagger. I'm rolling a doom die again. Okay, I get lucky. Another 4 damage. Reeling and coughing from the punch to the throat, the soldier doubles over and Gnaha buries the dagger in the back of the neck, ripping it out again. Figure crumples, and we win with 1 round to spare, which puts us in a position where we can actually maybe avoid the automatons completely. Otherwise, I think we would have had to do like a navigation roll to avoid the incoming. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I don't want to roll again and have the same thing happen again. I think this is a well and truly resolved situation. If we had run out of time, we might have tried to salvage it with another roll, but now we imagine that the captured smaller theocracy vessel, the Castigian vessel, handling quite swiftly, is under the control of Heinrich. He swings it round the sinking merchant vessel now with the front of the ship already submerged, leaning upwards, and speeds out of the harbor, avoiding the impact of the grim angels raining down, and splash, 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 missing. Barely, but missing nonetheless. And they are clear. They are for the moment free. There's likely gonna be pursuit, but I feel like with the head start that there is right now, the pursuit is less of a problem. What we should do Let's do another travel roll and see now with the depletion of the crew how that goes. I think we could maybe see if Oksana and Gnaha can help with the crew rating. So maybe if they succeed at an intelligence check, I think it's the ability to apply oneself to the situation at hand. So yeah, let's do intelligence checks for both of them, see if they can pitch in and give some crew rating back to us. And they can, so let's raise the crew rating up to 11 and do a travel check, which just about succeeds. Okay, so I feel like that puts us in the clear and we are well and truly on course, but on course to where now? I think Heinrich has lost, the ship has lost the commission of the Merchant League this way. I think the return wouldn't be very warmly received. Now the question is, where do we want to go? Where does Heinrich want to go with this captured theocracy vessel? That is also not something you can just show up anywhere in the world. What are our options here? I think we envision Oksana, Gnaha and Heinrich and perhaps one or two of the other passengers standing around the map that Heinrich has located in the captain's study of this theocratic vessel, having lost all zone material, and they ruminate what their options are now that they are out of this immediate danger zone, but there's going to be a lot of traffic from the theocracy going north to south, south to north, and Manduris around the peninsula here is not much of an option, presumably. So there are the mercenary bands close, there are the eastern principalities with their outposts, but I don't think that's much of an option, especially since the two of them, Oksana and Gnaha, want to go over here. Maybe we should figure out some more of the world's situation, which Heinrich, probably being a well-traveled fellow, knows a bit more about. I think the Golden Archipelago is quite important and natural, sort of halfway point. Let's maybe figure out what's going on in the Golden Archipelago at the moment and also what their alignment is. So we have the political situation and the attitude here. Let's do that for the Golden Archipelago. The political situation is blue, the attitude is red. They are thriving and favorable to law, so I'm assuming that their governorship, whatever it is not part of this Silent Council, but they are nonetheless being worked on by the Silent Council, so maybe that is not the best, that Heinrich counsels against targeting the Golden Archipelago because he knows that if you show up there with a captured theocracy vessel, you're not going to have a good time. Now, there's one unless, which is the adventure seed sort of current situation hooks. So maybe there's something here that could help us. Maybe on the off chance that there is something, let's roll. The rumor that Heinrich hears about the Golden Archipelago doesn't make it more appealing, because a cult turns the crews of lost ships into loathsome human insect hybrids to dig into the island the ancient god is imprisoned in. So the insect hybrid cult rumor persists there, which I think pretty much kills any idea we have to going to the archipelago. Grey Spire's Dominion, mercenary bands of Flotsam Kingdom, that is possible. We could go see what the mercenary bands are about. I'm always reluctant to roll this because them being allied by Law, I guess maybe Law has just recruited them all. That could be possible. Yeah, let's roll. Let's roll for the current political situation among the territory that all the mercenary bands have created for themselves. We're assuming that there's also like a city of sorts in here. Let's see. 6 and 5, they are warmongering and favorable to chaos. Okay, so the mercenary bands don't like this emergence of the theocracy going for the City of Thieves and maybe threatening Manduris, their sort of main clients, at all, and they are now even counseling whether they should angle somehow for a contract, maybe at a discount rate for one of the factions here, offering themselves out to do something about this, because they feel like if they now remain neutral, their goose may also be cooked, which makes this kind of a likely target for us to stop by. I think that is where, especially since I don't know how seaworthy this smaller vessel is compared to going out here in the open C. That is maybe where we're targeting. Let's do an adventure hook for the mercenaries. Roll another die 6. 2. A new mercenary band made of automatons shows up, offering to work cheaply. Where does it come from? I think we have an idea. And who leads it? Worried mercenary captains want to know. So I think that is part of what makes them so inclined to band together and do something about this. The Silent Council has, in an effort to undermine the mercenaries' hold and to weasel their way into the military dynamic of this continent here, they have created kind of a mercenary troop offshoot that is now trying to put the other mercenaries out of business. Now let's give ourselves a city, so the mercenary main port of call where you can hire them, which has grown from like a tent temporary encampment to an actual city over time. What's the name? 8. Decimation. Maybe there is a story behind this. Picturing kind of a story where this is where a mercenary band once was decimated or something. Like every 10th member of the Legion got their head shortened somewhat. Maybe we'll spin this into a story somehow if it's ever relevant. I don't think it might be, but we have now the option to sail all the way around here and then maybe even like stick close to the coast, just have to bridge this distance here and make it to Decimation. And from there on, hopefully continue our journey to the Northern Raiders. But we'll do that next time. So thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you then, and bye for now.